Good morning, everybody, and welcome to another Max Business Workshop. It's Savvy Steve coming to you from a fantastic Christchurch day where the sun is shining and the world is great. Isn't it fantastic that we've got COVID in our lives to challenge us and make us innovate and be creative and be resilient? Moving on, enough about that. I hope everybody is well, and this month's workshop is intended to be a little bit provocative. It's intended to make you think, make you reflect, and take advantage of the wealth of experience that I have and that Kerry and Rory have in seeing things and understanding things, and from all of the years that we've worked with students and in the fitness profession. As you can see, that this month's workshop is titled "Questions That Should Be Asked More Often," and my top 5, Savvy's top 5 questions that should be asked more often. And I will be a little bit, I won't say blunt, because I don't want to think of it as being blunt, but I'm going to be definitely upfront, and I'm going to say some things that I think existing students could well benefit from and to reflect from, and certainly past students who are taking advantage of the ongoing learning that we offer could also benefit from. I could probably talk about this topic for a day, but we've only probably got 30 minutes or so together today, so I better get cracking and take advantage of it. So the number 1 question that I think should be asked more often is can you be financially successful as a personal trainer? Can you make money? Now, there are a lot of pullers out there who would say to you, you can't make money working as a personal trainer, you can't make money working in the fitness profession. Well, my answer to that is that's a complete nonsense. Most of those people who make those comments are uneducated, don't know anything about the industry and the opportunity that exists, and don't know anything about making money, and they probably work in a lousy, rotten, stinking job that they don't enjoy anyway. But that aside, the simple answer to that question is you absolutely can. But like any business, I mean, let's be honest, personal training is a business like hundreds and hundreds of others. There are some fundamentals that if you observe and you adopt and you practice and implement, then you'll be successful. But the world is littered with people with potential, people with great ideas who have failed because they haven't done what they need to do to be successful in business fundamentally, irrespective of whether it's personal training or selling widgets. Many of the same fundamental things apply, and there are literally dozens of reasons why I say that, but I'm going to pick out about 5 or 6 that I think are the most significant reasons why I believe that you can absolutely make money in the fitness profession, providing you adopt and do these things. And the very first one is you've got to have massive amounts of self-belief in what you're doing, and in your value proposition. And so, if you don't believe in what you're doing or believe in what you're worth, you're putting up a massive roadblock. You're putting up a massive mountain directly in front of you with vertical cliffs that almost makes success impossible. But if you have huge amount of passion and a huge amount of self-belief and genuine belief in the value that you can bring to people and the transformation that you can help people go through, then that is the absolute starting point. And if you don't have that, you're not going to enjoy the success that you possibly deserve and the success that you should have. And secondly, if you don't have much of it at all, you're almost destining yourself to failure. So that's an absolute critical starting point. You clearly have to have a great product and a clear target market, and those two things go together. You know, you have to have a clear understanding of who you want to train, what type of people, what type of demographic, where you want to train them, and then you have to have a product that meets the need in that particular target market. And if you don't have absolute clarity around that, it's a bit like all you're doing is you're walking out the door with a shotgun in your hand and firing off random shots, hoping that some pellets are going to hit someone and they'll turn into clients. Rather than being like a sniper who has such a clear, and perhaps not a very nice analogy, but you know, it's one that allows you to understand it, that you're a sniper who's going out and you're targeting someone specifically, and you are executing them, so to speak. And that way, it's not random. You have a clear target in mind, a clear person, and then you're going to deliver to that person exactly what they need. Give them what they want, and then show them what they need. But you know that means that you have to embrace that yourself. You have to be very clear in what you want that target market to be and the reasons for that. And that'll talk a little bit more in the next question that's not often asked as to what are the three most important parts in the program. I'll touch on that in a minute. Then number 3 and 4, and they go hand in hand really, is marketing and sales. And as a general rule, most business people, whether they're working in the fitness profession or anyone, are very poor at marketing and even poorer at sales. Often they don't have a clear target market, and they don't have a strategy at all as to how they're going to reach that target market through their marketing activity. And they don't have any form of marketing plan, they don't have marketing resources, and it happens, if it happens ad hoc, or happens by accident. And if they're fortunate enough to be able to come in contact with a prospect, they have no idea how to sell, and they sell in the old school way, and they don't understand what their clients' needs are. They don't understand what their client's pain is and how they're going to go about satisfying that. So ultimately, they're poor at marketing and sales. However, if you are very sharp in your marketing, you've got absolute clarity around your target market, and you know how to reach that target market using all of the mediums available to you in the current world to reach that target market. They do differ a little bit depending on who that target market is, and you're able to connect with that target market. And when you do, the prospects that come from that activity, you're able to connect with, and you're able to create trust, and you're able to go through a process to understand what they want and understand what they need, and then show them a solution and ask them to buy. You'll turn your marketing activity ultimately into paying customers. But it's absolutely critical, that you are good at that. The fourth area is you've got to look after those customers. A lot of people in business, whether it's personal training or anything, take customers for advantage. They don't have a customer service ethos. They don't have a customer service plan. If they do, it's random, or it changes from one day to the next, and as a result, the customers aren't made to feel special, important, and worthwhile. And therein lies a significant challenge. As a trainer, you're privileged to have clients. You're privileged to have the opportunity to help them achieve their goals, and you're privileged certainly to have them put money into your bank account. But that requires you to respect the value that they bring to your business and have a way of looking after them, acknowledging and respecting that aspect through your customer service program. And if you do that, as well as ultimately help them achieve their goals, then you're going to have a client for life, and you're also going to have an evangelist who tells all their friends. And the irony in that is that then you'll have to do less marketing and less sales, because they will sell you for you, if that makes sense. And ultimately, and this is probably the number one reason why a lot of businesses don't achieve their full potential, and why a lot of personal trainers don't make enough money in the fitness profession, is they don't work hard enough. To be successful, it's damned hard work, and you have to do that every day. It's not a case of working hard one day here and one day there and then cruising in the rest of the time. Being successful at anything requires repetition. It requires delivering something consistently, continuous and never ever improvement, and graft, good old fashioned graft. And when trainers say they're getting bored, they're a little bit bored doing what they're doing, I've got to say to myself, give me a break. You've only been doing it for 5 minutes, and you're telling me you're bored. Well, at the end of the day, guess what? Successful businesses fundamentally do the same thing again and again and again. Sure, they innovate and they are creative and they improve and they change, but they're always fundamentally doing the same thing, but doing it better over time. So when someone tells me they're a little bit bored doing the same thing, I say, I sort of roll my eyes. I may not do that so that you can see that, but that's exactly what I'm doing. And I say, give me a break, harden up and get on with it, because that's the reality of running a successful business. And when you grow and you bring on staff or contractors, whatever the case may be, to do it for you, to help you achieve better results, then you expect them to do the same. So that's question number one. Can you make money in the fitness profession? Absolutely, yes you can, but it doesn't come easy, and nothing worth having ever does come easy. So question number two is all about what are the 3 most important parts of our program, in my opinion. And so that's why priorities number 1, priorities number 2, and priorities number 3. It's a question that we don't get asked very often. And I'm talking about the entire fitness and business program. Now, this is from my perspective. Kerry or Rory might have similar outcome views, but this is how I see it. And I see this from the point of view of obviously having been involved in education for a long period of time, but also having run successful gym businesses, employed an awful lot of people, and obviously from my corporate banking and banking background. I believe that fundamentally people are not successful, or our graduates are not successful because necessarily they are good trainers, not necessarily because they're good technically in the areas of anatomy and physiology and exercise science and exercise prescription, although obviously you have to be competent in that. It's not because of that, it's because of the other skills that you have. And when I talk about the other skills, that links to the 3 priorities. And number 1 is values. For me, first, probably arguably second, and arguably third. If you don't understand values, and you don't understand your values and what you believe in, then you ultimately are moving forward without clear understanding of what's going to make you happy and what's going to fulfill you in your personal and professional life. And your business that you develop should reflect those values, and they should contribute. The business should contribute to value fulfillment. It should be part of you and an extension of you, and not something that operates in isolation to you, because when that happens, it often means that there is conflict between what is really important to you and what you may be doing day to day in terms of your professional or working life or your business. So values, in my opinion, is the number 1 most important. You get that right and you get clarity around that, it allows you to move forward and to be able to plan for the right business that's going to give you what you need, what you believe in, and which is going to ultimately lead to the outcomes that you want. Secondly, it's the marketing and the sales components of the business program, part of the program. You know, you can't sell a secret. You know, you have to be able to reach out and connect with your target market in a way that makes you cut through the noise of all of your competitors, that makes you stand out, that makes you attractive to the people that you want to train, i.e. your target market, and then having an ability to sell. You know, some people just simply don't sell, and that's generally because they're not great communicators. They talk a lot and they don't ask many questions. But the marketing and the sales programs, if you learn from them and you adopt them, gives you the skills to turn to connect with your target market and to turn that target market into clients and customers that are prepared to give you their money over a long period of time, and you know, become good at that to the very best of your ability. Thirdly, and finally, the most important part probably, which links into that, is the business planning. And the heart of business planning is the financial planning. You know, if you aim at nothing, you're certainly going to hit nothing. And I've seen a lot of business plans. I've seen a lot of financial plans. Some of the financial plans project mediocrity. Some of the financial plans project just complete unrealistic outcomes. And so either you're setting yourself up for failure or having an outcome that's not going to meet your needs, e.g. your values or what you place importance on, or you're setting yourself up to try and achieve something that perhaps in the short term is unachievable, or in the short term you don't have the resources to be able to deliver because you know you haven't got enough of your own savings, and therefore or you're unable to borrow money or connect with a partner to help you achieve what you're trying to do. So it's important that, you know, the business plan sets out a framework that enables you to create a successful business. And part of that is having a financial plan that's realistic and achievable. And, you know, a plan followed is more likely to lead to success. The number one reason why businesses fail is they have no plan. And, you know, at the end of the day, you know, if you have no plan, you're going to end up somewhere because you're just going to start doing some stuff. But the high probability is you're going to end up in a place that you don't want to be, or a place that's very unattractive and not giving you the outcomes that you want. So together, those three components, values, marketing and sales, which have rolled into one, and the business planning, financial planning, which have rolled into one, become the three, in my opinion, most important parts of the program, and the three parts of the program that you should give high priority to in terms of building a successful business, building a successful career. And if you don't, then you're making it much, much more difficult for yourself to be question number one, which is financially successful. Okay. Question number three. What are the biggest mistakes made by students while completing the program? And I've put three biggest mistakes, but I'm going to have a whole lot more than that because I'm greedy. You know, there are lots and lots and lots of mistakes, and you know, I could talk for hours about this perhaps as well. But again, and I'm going to be a little bit provocative, as I said earlier. Biggest mistakes. It's mind-boggling how many students don't read the instructions, and they charge off into the program and doing stuff without any really clear understanding of what has to be done and when and how. You know, and that's a bit like not knowing how to drive a car and just jumping in behind the wheel and hoping that you don't crash or you don't hit someone or kill someone along the way. And so, you know, it's a bit, I don't know what it's about with human nature. It's a bit like when we buy something at Bunnings, or we buy something like here and we have to put it together. We just don't read the instructions, and blokes are particularly bad at that. But women have, the female gender also has challenges with that. But fundamentally, when you're embarking on a program that is about setting you up for your future, you would think you would take some time to really understand what you have to do, how you have to do it, when you have to do it, and that would lead you into developing a clear plan on how you're going to complete the program. A little bit again, aim at nothing, hit nothing. So reading the instructions and understanding what you have to do allows you to develop a plan that's going to get you from A to B in a smart way. And I would estimate that a high percentage of, a substantially high percentage of people embarking on the program don't read the instructions and don't have a clear plan on what they're going to do. Now, it's not too late to change that if you've already started. Stop, go back to the start, and be sure that you do have an absolute clear picture on what you have to do and start and develop a plan. So if you're already into the program, even if you're a tenth of the way through, or a third of the way through, or half the way through, it's not too late to go back and make sure that you've got a clear picture of what's expected. Because when you get to the end and you're excited about getting to the end and getting out there and making a difference and earning an income, and you haven't done things properly, it makes it tough on you, I can tell you. A lot of people try to do the least and try to cut corners rather than doing their best. They do their least. And sometimes I laugh because I think sometimes students must think we're silly, and we can't read that, we can't see that, and because it sticks out like the old proverbial tits on a ball, excuse my crude analogy. And whereas we can see where someone's really learning, reading, trying to understand, because the way they communicate with us, the questions they ask, tell us that they have read the stuff, but they're just having a challenge perhaps understanding, or it's just not quite gelling for them. And that's fantastic for us to be able to work with with people like that, because they're hungry for learning. They really want to understand what they're learning and be sure they understand it correctly. Whereas the counter bit is those who simply want us to provide them with the answers so they can tick a box, finish a quiz, or move on to the next session. Okay, and that, at the end of the day, fundamentally is meaning that you're going to get to the end of the program and you're not really going to understand what you've learned. And in terms of being financially successful, you're not giving yourself the best prospects of doing that. Some other practical things I think that get made is that the practical sessions, this is my personal opinion, practical sessions aren't done progressively as you work through the sessions. Often the students get tied into completing the sessions and the quizzes, and suddenly they'll work their way a long way through, but they haven't done any of the practical sessions which embed the learning you've done in those individual sessions. I strongly encourage you to do, the group sessions and the gym trainer sessions and the various different types of personal training sessions as you're working through the program. Not only does that give you variety, it helps you to cement the learning, it helps you to perhaps create questions that need answers done, that force you to do a little bit more research, or to reach out to us and to ask for help. And that leads to one of the next biggest mistakes. We're here to help. We can't help if people don't reach out. The first thing I always ask is how much help have they tried to achieve for themselves, and if I can clearly see we can clearly see that you are trying to learn and you've tried to understand the answer yourself, and we're there all the way and we'll help you over that hurdle. But suffering in silence is not smart, and that's another big mistake. But all these mistakes, are just learning experiences, but providing you do learn from them. And as I say, none of this can, irrespective of where you're in the program now, or alternatively, even if you've completed the program, you're coming back for relearning or to embrace for ongoing learning, the same things apply. So that's what I think are my 5 or 6 biggest mistakes. And don't do this because it's just dumb. Okay. Question number 4 is all about, why do our graduates often lose their way after they graduate? And I love this quote: losing your way on a journey is unfortunate, but losing your reason for the journey is a fate more cruel. And there's a message in that. I think there are lots of reasons, but my biggest 5 or 6 are, in fact, 7 or 8 probably more likely. Again, I'm going to be provocative. and this is human nature, people get lazy. They simply don't do the hard yards. They expect it to come easy. They expect clients to fall out of trees. They expect clients to pull their wallets out and throw money at them without realizing that, you actually have to go out and find those clients through your marketing activities, and then you have to create a relationship and go through a sales process, which is going to encourage them to get their wallet out and give you some money. There's complacency steps in, arrogance. There's I think that which sort of links into the know-it-all type scenario, that rather than an acceptance and an understanding that to be successful in business, you have to apply the simple fundamental things well every single day, and that if, that's not about being arrogant, that's about being mature and about being professional and understanding that running any form of successful business is hard, and it requires you to do the hard yards, the simple things well every single day. And arrogance is not a great attribute to have in regards to achieving that outcome. Clearly, I would imagine if I walked into 10 businesses, and I'd say 10 businesses selling widgets, or 10 personal businesses, or 10 people running a personal training business, and I said, show me your current business plan, I would be gobsmacked if I got 1 in 10. What I'm saying is, like, just randomly, and then this would be for any business, but link it to the personal training. If I asked to see, hi there Joe, or hi there Karen, or hi there Stacy, whatever your name is, great to see you. I'd love to see your current business plan. Just would you grab it for me so I can just get an understanding of what your business is about, what you're trying to do, how you're trying to do it, etc., etc., etc. I'd be gobsmacked if I got 1 out of 10. And if I did get 1 out of 10, I imagine that the quality of those 1 out of 10 would be not what it should be in order to help you be successful. So I think that they don't follow a plan, but more likely they don't have a plan, and that would be a key reason why graduates lose their way. There's poor or no marketing, and there's feature-based selling, which I've touched on a lot already. So, that's, at the end of the day, that's a real weakness. Other things, they morph into their surroundings and they develop sheepitis. Humans, it's a bit like the lowest common denominator, because we're so scared of standing out as a general rule, we tend to become like those that we surround us. It's about circle of influence. So unless you're in an environment where there is, and this would be incredibly unusual, statistically speaking, in an environment where there is huge commitment to personal development, huge commitment to being different and being creative and being innovative and working hard, etc., etc., you morph in and become like the people in their surroundings that you are in, and that often leads to mediocrity, because, again, statistically speaking, a high percentage of small businesses either fail or live hand to mouth. There are so many people running small businesses in whatever profession you choose that are working for a basic wage. They're not working for a good wage or a great wage and then profits on top of that they can reinvest to help them grow. They're working for a basic wage, and that's because they've morphed into the surroundings and they've become like those who are around them, who are, generally speaking, and not driven and don't have motivation to be successful. Linked into that a little bit is they don't apply their anatomy and physiology and exercise science knowledge to their programming, and they copy others around them, and they end up giving out exercises that make absolutely no sense, that would make K-Man pull his hair out, recognizing he hasn't got any left anyway, so he can't pull any more out. But at the end of the day, it just makes, when I see it, I've got, it just bears, I just don't understand it. Complete nonsense exercises that if if the student who'd graduated applied their learning about anatomy and physiology and exercise science, they would know that what they're doing is dumb. It's not the best choice. It's not the safe, etc., etc. And again, that's a little bit of a reflective. Perhaps, are they bored? Well, hang on, it's not about you, it's about your clients and giving them the best possible outcome from what they need. Or it's about having morphed into their environment and developing sheepitis because some other trainers were doing it and they wanted to, look cool like them. And at the end of the day, they've lost their way as a result of that. And they're scared ultimately to be different, and they're scared to stand out. You have to be strong. You have to be able to stand up for those that look at you and query what you're doing. They're not querying you because they want to be as successful as you. They probably resent your success. And so therefore, rather than morph into being like them, you have to resist that and have the courage and the self-belief and the confidence to remain on the path that you've charted, and that should be as reflected in your business plan. But as I've said, most people, once they graduated, the business plan was simply to get the qualification. They walk out the door, and then they suddenly don't have a business plan to guide them on the journey to being successful. Well, again, that's just plain stupidity. And when people don't get the outcomes that they want, and they're not as financially successful as they like, then all they need to do is have a look in the mirror. Okay. Question number 5, and it's linked to this a little bit as well. What's the difference between our successful and unsuccessful graduates? And that slide that you can see in front of you, all of those things apply. But for me, the top 5 were the successful graduates have a plan and they execute it. They have a plan and they execute it, and that plan is reviewed on an ongoing basis. They work damn hard. I can think just jumping into my head immediately 4 or 5 graduates, and there's obviously a lot more than that, but just jumped into my head in that split second, who work incredibly hard, and as a result, they're enjoying great success. They do the hard yards every single day, and they understand that that's what is required to make them successful. You can see them applying what they've learned. You can see when you visit their studio, or you can tell when you talk to them based on the language that they use, that they're thinking and acting and doing and applying what they have learned, and they're hungry, and they're also hungry for learning more, and they continue to engage with us, not because we know everything about everything, because we certainly don't, but we have a lot of experience and a lot of ability to help graduated students who are hungry to continue to be successful, to keep challenging them and prompting them and pushing them to go further and achieve more. And finally, they work as much on their business as they do in their business. It doesn't just become about training a certain number of clients. It's about constantly looking to grow the business, looking at ways to improve the business, looking at ways to improve the marketing, looking at ways to streamline things, looking at ways to deliver the product in a better way, looking at opportunities to improve customer service, and ways to be innovative and creative, ways to create extra income streams. And that's time spent away from the customer. That's time invested, instead of sitting in front of the TV or doing other things. Not sitting in front of the TV from time to time is necessarily a bad thing, but there is time committed to working on the business and not just in the business day to day. Okay, so that's through question number 5, and I'm going to leave you with one final thought. And Robert Kiyosaki, someone you should read, more from, said, if you think you know it all, you really know nothing. And I have to say, I certainly don't know it all, and wouldn't profess to do so. But I think, that, when you are completing the program, you're learning. When you have completed the program, you've finished something, but it's really only just starting. And if you think having finished the program is all of the learning that you're going to need in order to be as successful as you can be and have all of the outcomes that you want for yourself, then you are sadly mistaken. And you have to be hungry and thirsty to learn more, to grow more, to be able to do more and achieve more, become better at what you do, and be the best version of you that you possibly can be. So reflect on that, and final message is, we are here to help. We're here to guide. So take advantage of the mentoring if you aren't, and if you are, well done already. Hopefully, out of today's session, there might be the odd little pearl of wisdom in there that you can take advantage of. Some of it might have been a little bit provocative for some of you to hear, but we're not always here to give you pats on the back. We're occasionally here to give you kicks up the bum. And it's up to you how you take some of that stuff depending on your individual circumstances and what you heard out of what I've said. Thank you so much for spending some time listening to me, and always here to help, and enjoy the rest of the day, and may you be as successful as you choose to be.